Hello, everybody. We are 1 week in now. We've gone through 7 days, and today will be day 8 of our journey through the Bhagavad Gita for the month of September. And today we begin chapter 4. Wonderful chapter. I mean, of course, they all are. But as we revisit them, I suppose in our hearts, we've become very grateful. So grateful. I tell you, there's a verse that'll come in this chapter, not today, we'll read it tomorrow, but it almost makes me want to cry when I hear it. There's so much wonderful knowledge in this Bhagavad Gita. It's our way of meeting Krishna and talking with Krishna and being blessed. So let's start. We've been talking about karma yoga. The last chapter was entitled Karma Yoga, and Krishna was encouraging Arjuna not to try to walk away from this world, which is what his mind was calling for him to do. But he was saying, no. It's better that you keep your mind and your body engaged in this world, or as a yogi, in order to transform. Normally, when we engage with this world and we take up all these different social roles, we're doing them with material attachments. We want something from it. And in this way, the work gets reactions. The karma brings karmic reactions that come at us, that keep us bound in this world. We take birth again to play out that karma. Arjuna's worried about that, particularly worried about it within the context of fighting. And Krishna is spelling out for him, no, there's a way to work in this world, to be responsible and dharmic, which is a good thing, but to do it with knowledge, because knowledge breeds detachment. And when you do this work with detachment, it becomes free of reactions. It's the attachment in it. It's our desires that turn it from one thing to another, right? It's the desire within it that brings the results that we want to hang on to, that make us take birth again to come and live out that karma. And if we can do the same work without, free of that desire, if we can do that work simply on behalf of God, because it's meant to be done, and I'm not trying to take anything for myself from it, it becomes free. I'll give a quick example. Take a police officer who sees a person being attacked. Maybe there's a gunman running around killing innocent people. The police officer does what's illegal for anyone else. He takes out a gun, aims at the person, and shoots that person. But because he aims the gun and shoots it and even kills a person, but he's not doing it with any selfish purpose. He's doing it on behalf of the higher power, right? On behalf of the government. He's not killing this person because he wants their money. He's not killing this person because he wants to silence them or because he doesn't like them. He's doing it for the purpose of protecting others on behalf of the higher power, which is the government. Then he's not held responsible for that action. He doesn't get any reaction from it. Whereas a criminal would get a reaction. I hope that makes sense. So the idea is we can move through this world without being a criminal. We can move through this world acting on behalf of the higher power all the time, free of any selfish desire. And our actions in this world will not bind us. So this knowledge, which breeds detachment, here's the principle, right? Big principle that's coming out here. Transcendental knowledge purifies, right? When I understand I'm not this body, when I understand I'm not this mind, when I understand my happiness is not tied to external sense objects, when I know that happiness is within me, it's my nature, it just needs to be uncovered. This is transcendental knowledge. And with this transcendental knowledge, we can do our activities in this world without any material desire, and they become liberating. Now, what we're going to find out in this chapter is that transcendental knowledge is going to get taken to another level. There's transcendental knowledge of Kṛṣṇa. Right? And this knowledge not only grants us the detachment to move through this world in a way where our actions become freeing rather than binding. That's real important, and it does that. But this kind of knowledge can grant love for Kṛṣṇa, love for God. And that's the highest, that will be identified in the Bhagavad Gita as the highest platform of yoga and the deepest fulfillment of the self. And so in this chapter, we begin to hear about the knowledge of Kṛṣṇa. It opens up with Krishna wants Arjuna to understand that this science of karma yoga is not a new thing. And in order to do that, in other words, it's not like some consolation prize because you're not qualified to be a yogi. You have to do this. No, he's saying this is a very powerful science. I taught this to the God of the sun, right back at the beginning of the universe, essentially. And he handed it down in the chain of disciplic succession. So we hear about how transcendental knowledge is handed down through the process that's called the parampara or guru parampara, that is handed down from guru to disciple. And then that person becomes a guru and hands it down to the disciple. Krishna is saying, I started that chain by giving it to the sun god. And he handed it down to all of those different links in the chain. This is a powerful chain of rulers, of kshatriyas, kings, rajarshis, actually saintly kings. And so Arjuna, my handing it to you is just a continuation of that. He actually says that time, the element of time tends to make things deteriorate, and this knowledge deteriorates. I'm reestablishing it now by speaking it to you, Arjuna. We learn more about Kṛṣṇa here. That idea that I come to reestablish this opens up the idea of when and why Kṛṣṇa comes. So we learn so much about him. We learn that he shared the science of karma yoga with the sun god. We learn that his omniscience allows him to remember all of his past incarnations, where for jivas like us, normal people like us, we can't remember them. We learn transcendental knowledge about Kṛṣṇa, that he incarnates in his original unborn spiritual form that's not bound by the material laws. It doesn't grow old. It doesn't deteriorate. There's more transcendental knowledge of Kṛṣṇa, that as his Leela, he incarnates when there's a decline in Dharma, and he plays the role of restoring Dharma. But even more than that, we learn about him that even more than the reason of reestablishing Dharma, the deeper reason is that he comes to reveal his pastimes to the devotees, to the sadhus, he says. By revealing his pastimes, we can meditate on those pastimes. We can understand him deeply. And when one understands Kṛṣṇa deeply, this is a famous verse in text 9, when one understands Kṛṣṇa deeply, when one knows Kṛṣṇa and one knows the nature of his pastimes and the nature of his birth, how they are beyond this virtual reality that we're moving through, how he's beyond it. When we understand that, we don't take birth in this world again, but we return to him. That's text 9. Now let's look at text 10. Text 10, I spoke with you all earlier about this idea of the Bhagavad Gita speaking on these 5 different levels or stages. There's duty, then there's knowledge, then there's wisdom, absorption, and love. And when we look at this verse, text 10, he's speaking on 3 of these levels. Listen, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger. That's called wisdom, right? When I'm so much in touch with myself that I've let go of attachment. And with that, I let go of fear. I let go of attachment because I've understood that my happiness is not bound to any external thing. And once I've understood that, I can let go of fear. Everybody's competing for those external things. I'm not going to get enough. I don't have any fear of that anymore. Or fear of death. No, I'm not this body, right? I live beyond this body. This world is always changing. I've come to terms with that. When the changes come, they don't create fear in me. And so I can let go of all my material desires. And when I let go of my material desires, I can let go of anger, because my anger is always arising in relation to the idea that my material desires are being thwarted in some way or not being fulfilled in some way. Someone else is interfering with them. I can let go of that anger. So being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, I've risen to the platform of wisdom. And that gives me a peaceful mind. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, and being fully absorbed, right? Now that I've come to the platform of wisdom, I have a peaceful mind. Now I can absorb my mind. Here, Kṛṣṇa is saying you absorb it in Kṛṣṇa. He's the object of mental absorption. He's the object of meditation. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger. Being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me. Many persons in the past have become purified by knowledge of me. Right? This is knowledge purifies. We said that earlier. Transcendental knowledge purifies, right? It purifies one's attachments, one's ignorance and attachments. But knowledge of Kṛṣṇa, right? That leads to far more than just the purification. So he says, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they attained transcendental love for me. They've come to that highest platform of yoga, right? Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, wisdom platform. Being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, absorption platform. Many persons have become purified by knowledge of me, and thus they attain transcendental love for me. Such an important verse. This is the path of yoga that Kṛṣṇa is laying out in the Bhagavad-gītā. Now, text 11, very interesting verse. I would call it a key item of knowledge in regard to Kṛṣṇa, right? And that is that he reciprocates with us according to how we approach him. He's loves us, but he's like that loving parent that is giving the child some room. And so he's saying, if you approach me one way, I will reciprocate with you accordingly. And I'll read the verse. He says, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path, son of Pritha. in all respects. What he's saying is, we can interpret this within the realm of yoga. Like if one is, say, like an impersonalist, like an Advaita Vedanta would say, I'm approaching God as if you have no personality, as if you have no attributes, as if you have no form. He's saying, if you want to know me that way, then I will reciprocate with you that way, and I will reveal that aspect of me, the impersonal aspect. If you're like a yogi and you want to meditate on the Paramatma within the heart, I will reciprocate with that, and I will show you, I will reveal that aspect of me to you. Let's say you're a materialist and you're interested in simply in connecting with the material energy to try to find pleasure, then I will provide my material energy for you. Or if you, as a bhakta, if you want to approach me with love, well, then I will reciprocate with you with love, right? And that's where the Bhagavad Gita is heading. He's saying there's no escaping me, right? Wherever you turn, it's going to be my energy. It may be in the form of the material energy. It may be in the form of the Brahma Jyoti. It may be in the form of the Paramatma. It may be in my divine form as Kṛṣṇa. And there's no turning, ultimately, there's no turning away from him. Even when we try to turn away from him as a person, we encounter him in one of his other energies. So everyone follows his path in all respects. But as you surrender unto him, he's going to reciprocate in that particular way. Now, he kind of continues this thought in an interesting way, going forward up to text 15, which is where we're going to end our reading today. Today we read texts 1 through 15 of chapter 4. There's an item of knowledge that comes out here as we go deeper into it, that Kṛṣṇa builds the framework of the cosmic order. He's created the laws. He's the programmer of the virtual reality that we're moving in, right? So he's built the framework of it, but he's not responsible for everything that's going on in this world, because he gives us the freedom to fill it out according to our desires. It's our desires that are making what happened. If all of us had nothing but the purest desires, this world would be a completely different place. But unfortunately, all of us are full of material desires, and it has us competing with one another, and it has us all locked in karmic cycles that we're delivering to one another in the form of pleasure and pain. So Kṛṣṇa, I'll read the verses and try to hear it in here, that Kṛṣṇa is saying, sometimes an analogy is used, some of the acharyas have used an analogy. The rain falls down on all the land, but sometimes it falls over here and it grows as grass, and sometimes it falls over here and it grows as an apple tree, and sometimes it falls over here and it's like a raspberry bush, and sometimes it falls over here and it's like a thorn bush, and sometimes, the rain is falling down the same everywhere. But according to the seeds in the ground, the vegetation is going to manifest in different ways. And so Kṛṣṇa is saying, I'm like that rain, right? He creates the framework and our desires fill it in. So he's saying, I'm not responsible. I'm giving you the freedom. And that freedom that he grants us is so important, because it's without that freedom, there is no love, right? Love is dependent on the free will of both individuals. So he grants us the free will. We have the free will to try to turn away from him, or to turn to the other aspects of his energy. And then we create this hell on earth that we've created. He's saying, I'm not responsible for that. I'm up and beyond that. I've chosen not to enter into the prison, not to enter into the virtual reality. I'm ready you wanted it. I created it. I created the laws so that you don't go too far and that ultimately you become reformed. And that's the law of karma working in there. There's a corrective measure that's there as a reformatory measure. And he says, but if you can meditate on me and understand how I'm beyond it all, I don't have desires for the things of this world, because I'm absorbed in the spiritual divine love. If you can meditate on me and understand that I'm beyond it, then even when you're in this world, you can be beyond it. When you leave this world, you won't come back to it. And when you're in this world, you can work in it and be active in it. Even if you have to, you can fight in it, Arjuna, but never become bound with it. So let's end this. Let's read 11 through 15. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. O son of Pritha, O Arjuna. Men in this world desire success and fruitive activities. They have material desires. Therefore, they worship the demigods, right? These devas that provide these things. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. He'll grant those desires through the devas easily, and they'll get it quickly. If that's what you want, I'll reciprocate with that. I'll give it to you. Then he says this is more about the cosmic order. According to the three modes of material nature, according to how we've been programmed by them, and the work associated with them. The four divisions of human society are created by me. That means the spiritual leaders, the political or justice leaders, you could say, the business leaders, and then all of the employees, right? That's Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras. I've created those along with the codes of how they're meant to live. And he says, the four divisions of human society are created by me. I've created that cosmic order. And although I'm the creator of the system, you should know that I'm yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. I'm not affected by the modes of material nature shifting in different ways. I'm beyond that. I'm not in the virtual reality. I created it. And then he says, there's no work that affects me, right? When I do my actions, I don't become changed by this world, nor do I desire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruit of reactions of work. Like the police officer that's just working they understand the position of the government. They understand I'm working on behalf of the government. They can work in this world and not become bound by it. No reactions for their work. And then he says, all liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. This is the path he's laying out for Arjuna. It's karma yoga infused ultimately with bhakti, right? Meditating on me and my transcendental situation, my transcendental nature, my transcendental qualities. Work in this world free of material desire, without any material motive. Be dutiful and do the right thing. In this way, you keep your mind and your body engaged. Do it for me, in relation to me, meditating on me. And not only will you become free from the reactions of work, ultimately you will attain me. You'll transcend this realm and reestablish your eternal connection with me. That's all for today. Look forward to getting together with you tomorrow to go into the rest of this beautiful fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Hari Om Tat Sat.